Ready to do the real thing?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Okay, what's up, everybody? This is the What You Don't Hear podcast, and it is a Friday, which means that myself and a returning guest are about to toss 15 minutes on the clock and give you some actionable advice to carry into your weekend or the following week, because this is a 15-minute Friday. And joining me for this one is Sarah Reed. Sarah, welcome back.
Thanks.
I am so freaking stoked to do another one.
Yeah.
It's a joy every time we talk. I am so stoked every time. I learn so much, and I just get to sit and be a sponge. And I love when you get on your rants and you get all fired up and you're like, healthy eating is this. You mentioned, you're like, is it okay to curse on this? And I haven't heard one curse word slip out. So you know what? Like, if you want to toss one out the end of just, we can bleep it out if you want.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay. So, if anybody was listening, and it depends on how I edit this, but if anybody's listening before we actually jumped in the show, you'll know that the topic of this episode is how to start healthy eating habits. And I feel like this is a loaded question, a loaded topic.
Yeah.
So
we could talk about this for like the next 7 Fridays.
You know what? This just might be we might just break up all the rest of the 15-minute Fridays for the next 7 Fridays. There it is. Me and Sarah talking about this one topic. So I'm just going to let you take this one because I have some questions, but I just kind of want to see where we go.
All right.
So what would you say? How to start a healthy eating habit?
First step is water. You need to drink water. A lot of people don't drink enough water. How do you know how much water to drink? Okay, here's the formula. Your weight divided by 2 and that number in ounces is how much water you should drink every day. Some tips and tricks for that is soda water counts, but don't drink just soda water.
Yeah.
So if I'm like need another 12 ounces at the end of the night, I drink soda water because I'm like, this feels special, but I'm still getting hydrated. And then like you can infuse water with like cucumber, mint, strawberries, lemons, stuff like that to make it less boring.
So I'm sorry.
No,
I started jumping in with something. Did you have more initial tips that you're like, these are the main things? Or are we just starting with water?
Oh, you know what? Another way to drink more the amount of water you need every day is to get a reusable water bottle. And then I used to carry around, this is lame of me, I used to carry around a 90-ounce water bottle. And
you know what?
People thought I was crazy, but I was very hydrated.
Yeah, you may think I'm crazy, but I'm more hydrated than you are. So
right.
keep your opinions to yourself.
So what was your question?
So where do you think people mostly go wrong when they're trying to begin eating healthy?
Fad dieting.
Okay. Fad diets.
The issue is I've said this before, our society is built around microwave, instant gratification. So, we want to try this 10-day diet, whatever it is, to lose pounds, to go to the beach or whatever. That unfortunately often, it might work, but you'll probably be starving and tired and cranky by the time you get to the beach. And then once you go off it, you're probably going to gain most of that weight back, if not more.
Now, would you say even feeding into the whole fad diet thing or just trying to find healthy eating habits in general, I feel like something that a lot of people forget is that, and maybe you can correct me on this, I might be wrong, is everyone's bodies different, right? Maybe there's something that would work for you and not work for me, or is that sort of like not really, because if you're getting the right nutrients from the right foods, it's gonna work regardless. So
yeah.
What about that thought process?
Actually, there has been a trend that was like personalized diets, and to a degree, some people's bodies can digest foods better than other people's bodies. Some people are lactose, some people are gluten-free. So there is definitely truth to that. But the overall thing that you want to focus on is definitely getting more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, seeds, and nuts. So yeah, overall, some people can eat more meat than others or whatever, but you generally want to stick to the basics.
Like at the base level, it's like, well, the good things from the good foods are
Yeah.
gonna be good for everybody,
Right.
unless you have some, bit, like the lactose or anything like that. That's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, you gotta avoid
And I mean,
that. But
if you have lactose, that's, dairy isn't great to eat. So, that's also focusing on the basics and keeping it with those whole foods.
so you mentioned earlier, we talked about the fad diets. We talked about the normal kind of like American diet that we have. What did you call it?
It's the standard American diet, which ironically is the SAD diet.
Wow. Okay, when you said that, I didn't really put that together. Oh, that literally is SAD. Okay, so man, I'm learning so much. So how can somebody wean themselves off, right? Because it's probably not. We're talking about these like kick it in a week and
Right.
drop the pounds and stop eating this and whatever. It's super quick. I'm assuming, so I guess this is a two-part question, is just eliminating something completely instantly, is that bad? And then how can someone wean off of this sad diet that we're all consumed by?
Let's think. Some people can. It kind of depends on your personality, honestly. If you're like type A, let's do this, go getter, and are the type of person that wants to switch their diets overnight, then I have known success stories of people doing that. However, the average person is mostly going to crash after, an extreme switch like that. Your body isn't used to it. Like we talked about before, you're withdrawing from sugar. You're going to be really craving breads and cakes and donuts and stuff like that. And you won't really know why. I actually talked to a friend recently, and she's like, I quit all my, processed carbs, but I want them so bad. What's wrong with me? It's only been 5 days. And I was like, I hate to break it to you, but you're withdrawing from sugar right now. So I think for me, the best way to do it is to really not focus on eliminating everything at first, focus on adding healthier foods to your diet. One super easy way to do that is like with smoothies, or replace your snacks with healthier options like fruits, veggies, nuts, stuff like that. Some people do it like meal by meal. So there have been plans that I've seen that the first thing you start with is breakfast and then kind of go throughout the day. You do the breakfast for like 2 weeks, and then you switch to lunch for the next 2 weeks, and then dinner. So your body's slowly adjusting and also getting a ton of nutrients. So it's starting to function better. And
Okay, so I'm gonna pull back the curtain here real quick. So listeners or viewers, Sarah, I don't know when this is releasing, so I'm just gonna say this as a fact.
Okay.
Sarah is my health coach, so I might be a little bit biased and
Surprise.
like, oh my God, it's so magical. All of your thoughts and ideas are great, but I remember us when we were sort of, for lack of a better term, diagnosing me, right? Of like,
Yeah.
what do I need to change? What is it? You mentioned something about, when I explained to you, when I eat stuff,
Yeah.
and I don't know exactly what it is, I just feel sluggish. I feel off. I'm not gaining the energy from eating that food should give you.
Right.
And you had mentioned, well, maybe when we start this process, we need to just try to take out different things here and there to try and dwindle it down to pinpoint something.
Yeah.
Is that like a huge thing that someone can do to begin a healthy eating habit when they maybe don't know? It's not overly obvious of like, oh, I'm lactose intolerant,
Right.
or oh, I'm this, or oh, I'm that. What is the benefit of, as you're trying to wean yourself off of things? How would you tell somebody to, like, different ways to try and maybe pinpoint what it is?
Well, honestly, as you wean yourself off of things, you will start to notice your body feel differently. And it does not take long. It may be a month, like after you're weaning yourself off stuff, and then you're like, oh, I want some ice cream. And you go out for ice cream, and then your stomach is like wrecked afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty major sign that, your body is not digesting dairy well. So you might be lactose intolerant.
So I'm going to use myself as another example.
Okay.
I remember telling you that my idea for so long of healthy grocery shopping was to go and buy a salad mix or go and buy a bag of spinach. So what would you say to someone like me? So maybe there's somebody out there right now, like me, like that example, they're listening in, they're like, okay, I get, all these like health tips and things I should look out for and blah, blah, blah. What would you say to the person who's like me that their idea of a healthy eating habit is, I'm going to try and toss in some salads here every once in a while. I'm going to try and, I'll eat more greens, but not really, knowing what to do with that. So if
Yeah.
somebody's idea of healthy eating is stops at a salad, what would you tell them?
I would say a lot of people do that. And I used to do that too. Like, oh, I'll just eat more salads. But, you have to know how to build a good salad to satisfy your body.
Which was
And
my problem.
yeah, I definitely had that problem too. I honestly don't even eat salads now, like too often, because they're awkward to eat to me and I don't like them.
Well, I mean, you have so many other good, healthy things to eat that,
Yeah.
again, your idea of health is not straight to a salad.
Yeah. So I would say when you look at a standard dish that you have, mac and cheese like once a week or pizza once a week or burgers, like think about other healthier options or options that are closer to a whole food option. So for example, burgers, it's the standard American meal, burgers and French fries. Something that I do a lot at home is like I make black bean burgers. You literally put black beans in a food processor, breadcrumbs, season it. You put like a flax egg, which is flax meal with some water, and it like makes an egg-like consistency. And then you blend it up, make them burger patties, and there you go, protein and fiber,
So really quick on
and
that note.
no saturated fat.
So on that note, what would you say? Because I remember we went over this, and I was like, "Oh my god, like I'm so embarrassed I don't have this stuff in my kitchen." What are a couple quick tips of like when somebody's they're trying to start to eat healthy? What are things you need in your kitchen so your environment at home
Yeah.
feeds into more healthy eating habits?
Definitely, you know what, you want your standard pots and pans. A blender is major. I use my blender like 3 times a day, typically. Veggie steamer is great. If you have an instant pot, I use that a lot for like rice and different grains. And then I use my food processor as well. I don't use my food processor as much as a blender, but they can essentially do the same thing too.
Yeah, when you asked me those things originally, I was like, yeah,
What?
sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
blender.
I have how much do forks and spoons help me with this healthy eating?
Yeah, you might want plates and forks and spoons.
Okay, so 15 minutes is coming up super quick.
That
So
went really fast.
last couple things here. Speak on we're talking so much about, how your stomach can feel and how your body will feel when you start to eat healthier and change your habits.
Mm-hmm.
Speak to me on the mental side. What does healthy eating do for your mental state?
I'm glad you asked me this. This is so major. So we don't realize it, but when we're eating a ton of sugar and processed foods, we have some major brain fog going on. Our bodies are feeling sluggish and, exhausted. It takes 80% of our body's energy goes to digesting our food. And I think like digestion for vegetables is a much significantly shorter time than like a steak would be. Wow, I forgot what you even asked me.
The mental.
Oh yeah, mental health.
Yep.
So when you will feel a lot better. You'll feel a lot more positive. To be honest, I really struggled with like hormone imbalances most of my life. I really struggled with mood swings most of my life. And I did get a lot of counseling, but also once I started eating healthier, I really noticed a difference. And I really noticed a difference, like you're not on this crazy sugar kick where you're like, on a rampage. If you have a negative feeling, you're not like, it's not blown up as much because you have good, healthy nutrients in your body and your body is like stabilized. So you're not going off. This is a good example. So like this is sensitive and it's really heartbreaking, but we don't realize how much sugar is in like a lot of foods that kids eat. And people are always like, my kids are crazy and they're running around like maniacs. Yeah, because they're like on sugar all the time. And, their little bodies are processing this stuff and it's really, I don't know, it just frustrates me so much.
Right.
And it's sad that, we're not taught this. We're not taught that there's a bunch of sugar in a lot of our foods and how it affects us negatively. I have noticed personally, I've been, doing a more whole foods plant-based diet for a while now. And the weeks that I eat cake or something, or the days, I guess I should say, I am definitely have more feelings, and I'm then more likely to want to eat more bad foods, and it brings you back into the cycle of the processed foods and your body craving the sugar.
So I said two more questions, but I added one more
Okay,
before I
you're
get
good.
to the
You're
last
good.
one. So we're gonna ignore this whole 50-minute thing. I'm
Okay.
gonna keep breaking my own rules. Listen, I
Go for
own
it.
this show. We can do whatever we
You can
want.
do whatever I want.
So we're talking about the mental health benefits of eating, and this might be a little bit more of a broad question, but I would love
Yeah.
your perspective on this. How important do you think it is to have to be conscious of balance across the board in your life? And I ask that because of this. So I think when somebody is feeling, physically off, they immediately go to how can I eat better, or I need to work out.
Yeah.
Or if they're feeling mentally off, it's immediately to, and this is a great thing. I'm not saying anything wrong with it, but they immediately just go to maybe just therapy, right? Or
Yeah.
just I need to argue less or whatever. Now, again, nothing wrong with that, but big topic that's always talked about on this podcast, probably too much, is mindset, right? And the idea of how you react to things and how, all that sort of stuff. How much do you think that, healthy eating plays into what needs to be a larger life balance in general? Because rather than going, I think what I'm trying to say is, I think people can identify one issue of something and almost kind of get tunnel vision of trying to fix that one thing, not realizing that we ourselves are a big cycle, that everything kind of needs to be a well-oiled machine. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes perfect sense. I've thought about this a lot. Typically, someone does kind of like with what you're saying, latch on to one thing. So my thing, like in my early 20s, was counseling. Like I really wanted to sort out all this emotional stuff. But the wonderful thing about when you fix this one corner of your life and keep going and don't give up, you continue to touch the other areas of your life. So after, my counseling stint was happening, I then started to transition. Was feeling more motivated and better, and I was like, I should try to eat healthier foods. I don't physically feel great all the time. Um, and I started doing that, and then there's physical activity, then there's stress management. All those things are going to apply to your overall optimal health, which is the end goal. Like you want to focus on all those things, but it is hard to focus on all those things and live your life and manage all your relationships, So I would say focus on what you can, and then other things, you can think of them as like little tidbits throughout your day. Like I'm obviously pretty major on food and, getting enough nutrients for my body. But I have a kind of a busy life right now. I can't work out as much as I would like to. So what I try to do is like run around in the backyard with my son, or we have a rower. So even if I row for like 5 minutes a day, that's it. Like I didn't break a huge sweat, but it's still going to help me, release endorphins and then keep going.
So that last little tip there, that last little example feeds into my final question. So as
Okay.
we wrap up this episode, even, people got to realize that it's okay to start small,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to jump into lose the 30 pounds in 3 days, blah, blah, blah.
Don't do it.
So encapsulating everything that we just talked about, somebody's listening to this right now. It's a Friday, right? And maybe they want to just do that classic, like time to restart my life, time to kick it into a new gear this weekend or at the beginning of next week. So going into their weekend, what are just a handful or one major even actionable tips that kind of wraps up all of this of like, hey, here is how you can best begin healthy eating habits?
Okay, so start small and then make a plan. If you don't have a plan and if you don't have a backup plan, it's very easy to fail and go to McDonald's. I know that's hard for a lot of people figuring out a meal plan, but there are so many wonderful resources. One resource that I've been using recently is the Forks Over Knives meal planner. They also have a they have that as an app, and they give you like the first however many recipes for free, and it's really nice because they lay out the week for you: breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. And it's good like inspiration because then you can go online and come up with different ideas. So I would say have a plan, schedule when you're going to go to the grocery store, um, and really stick to those guidelines that that you're not going to buy any packaged food, or you want to focus on getting more whole foods into your diet that week. I would say try to keep it simple. Don't go too crazy, but always having a plan is going to help you be the most successful.
Perfect. So our time is up for this show, but that doesn't mean that the conversation has to stop here. So, Sarah, if anybody wants to find you around the internet, maybe they want to seek you out, maybe they want some health coaching advice, or to maybe hire you as a health coach in general, where can they find you and all of your health advice around the internet?
On Instagram, I'm plant-based Sarah Lou.
Perfect. All right there, right in one spot. Boom. Thank you so much for doing these. I appreciate it.
It's really fun. I enjoy it.
I'm so glad that you have fun doing these because that's what I need. I have fun learning, and I hope that you're not like, oh my God, you're asking so many questions.
This is my favorite thing to talk about.
Perfect. Sarah, thank you so freaking much.
Thanks for having me.